Alright, problem number 51. I already have it written out, so I'm not going to write it again. I solved it and then had a mistake on 52, so I had to start the video all over again. So I'm going to go back through 51, and then hopefully I can do 52 correctly this time. The following table shows the number of dog collars in thousands produced by Allied Pet Products in the 3 years considered. The years, we're going to use 0, 6, and 18 to represent 1990, 1996, and 2008. And the number of dog collars in thousands will be 20, 14, and 23.6 thousands. So on this particular problem, we use the equation ax squared plus bx plus c. And we plug in 0 for x, so it would be a times 0 squared plus b times 0 plus c equals 20. Which basically, once you do this, because 0 times a is 0 and b times 0 is 0, so I end up getting c is equal to 20. Then I plug in 6, a times 6 squared times b times plus b times 6 plus c, which is 20, equals 14. And I can simplify that. It becomes 36a plus 6b equals negative 6, because 6 squared makes 36, 6 times b is 6b, and then I take this 20, because I know c is 20 from the first equation, move it over to the right, and I get negative 6. And then I plug in 18. 18 squared is 324a. 18 times b is 18b, and then take this 20, move it to the other side, and I get 23. I get 3.6 over here, because I subtract 20 from 23.6. So now I'm going to take these two equations and try to figure out what A or B. Alright, so looking at these two equations, I think I can cancel the b's the easiest. So since this is 18, I'm going to make the top equation, I'm going to make this a negative 18. So I'm going to multiply this entire line by negative 3. And I get negative 108a minus 18b equals a positive 18. And the bottom line stays the same. When you add these two lines together, you add these two, I get 216a. Then this cancels, so there's no b, and then 18 plus 3.6 makes 21.6. Divide both sides by 216, I get that a is equal to 0.1, or 1/10, if you want to write it that way. It doesn't really matter. If a is 0.1, then I can go to one of these equations, like this equation right here, 36a plus 6b equals negative 6, and plug in 0.1 for a, and solve, and I get b. If a is 0.1 and I solve it and subtract and divide, I get that b is negative 1.6. And that's what the question says. What is the value of b? All right, 52. Softy Blankets charges $5 for shipping orders of $20 or less. So I'm going to call X the number of orders that are $20 or less. And then they charge $10 for the shipment of orders that are between $20 and $70, and then $15 for the shipments that are over $70. And 1 week they shipped 520 orders, so X plus Y plus Z. I don't know what is going on with this. Keep the color scheme and don't show this message again. X plus Y plus Z will equal 520. It totaled $5,000, so 5X plus 10Y plus 15Z equals $5,000, because that's the cost that it's going to cost to ship each of these packages. And then there were 40 more orders for $20 or less shipped than there were for orders over $70. So X will equal Z plus 40, or another way to write that is X minus Z equals 40. Because if I add, since there were 40 more orders for this than for this, I can add 40 to Z and get X. Alright, so this equation has both X's and Z's, no Y's. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these first two equations and try to get rid of the Y's. So I'm going to multiply the top line by negative 10, and I'll keep the bottom line the same. So I get negative 10x minus 10y minus 10z equals negative 5200. And the bottom line becomes 5x plus 10y plus 15z equals 5,000. Add them together. You get negative 5x, this cancels, plus 5z equals negative 200. So I'm going to use this equation and this equation. I'm going to multiply this equation times 5 before I move it over here, because then it'll be set up to cancel. So that would be, now I've got another problem. Sorry guys, I've got another mistake on number 52. Just hold off. I'm going to 53 and I will come back here in a few minutes or on another video. 53, use a graphing calculator to fit this data to a quadratic function to this data and use the equation to predict the population in the year 2010. So in your calculator, you're going to want to put this in L1 and this in L2. So go to Stat, Enter, and all of the year data is in L1 right now. All of the population data is in L2. So then we need to do a quadratic regression. That's what they said. So Stat, go over to Calc, and instead of 4, which is linear, I'm going to choose 5, which is quadratic. My X list is in L1, my Y list is in L2. I'm going to go ahead and store that in Y1. You don't have to, but you can. If you store it, go push vars and over to Y vars, and then enter, and it'll put that equation in Y1. I'm going to tell it to calculate. So it gives me my regression equation. You can see I've written it down here. And what they want to know is what would the population be in 2010. So I need to plug in 2010. Notice I put the actual years. Remember, in a lot of our equations we put like let the years stand for the years since something. So, but here I actually use 1950 and 1960. So the easiest way to do that is go to your table setup, which is second window, and change this from auto to ask, and then go to your table and enter what value you want to be checked. And so I'm going to put 2010 and I'll get 213. So there will be, this is my model, and in 2010 I would expect a population of 213. Remember, it's in thousands, so 213,000 people would be my expected population. Alright, problem 54. We're just trying to figure out some values of x's and y's. So if these two are equivalent matrices, then x would have to be 4 and y would have to be 6, so that they would be exactly equal matrices. In 55, if these are equivalent, then 10x would have to equal 6, which means x would be 0.6 if I were to divide both sides by 10. And then 20 would have to equal 5y, which divided by 5. Y would have to equal 4, and those are my two answers there. 56, 57, 58, 59, 60 ask us to do some different matrix operations. 56, we're going to be subtracting, and it's A minus B, and the order does matter. You can only add and subtract if they're the exact same dimensions, and these are 2 by 2, 2 by 2. So I'm going to start with the number that's in A and subtract the number that's in B. So negative 3 minus 3 would mean this first number would be a negative 6. 7 minus 10 would be negative 3. Negative 6 minus negative 6 would be 0. And negative 8 minus 7 would be negative 15. Then for A plus B, I would add these two together. Negative 5 plus 0 is negative 5. 7 plus 0 is 7. 8 times 0 is, 8 plus 0 is 8. If I said that last one wrong, 7 plus 0 is 7. Negative 4 plus 0 is negative 4. That's A plus B. And then 4 times A, this is called scalar multiplication. And all you do is take every number inside this matrix and multiply it by 4. So negative 3 times 4 is negative 12. 3 times 4 is 12. 0 times 4 is 0, and 2 times 4 is 8. That's how you add, subtract, and do scalar multiplication. Alright, let me clean this off here. Alright, 59 and 60 ask you to multiply. In order to multiply, you have to have the same dimensions, or the same dimensions and the same numbers in the middle. So this is a 2 by 2. This first matrix is a 2 by 2, and this was a 2 by 3. So as long as these two numbers in the middle are the same, then you can multiply them, and your answer is going to be a 2 by 3. So I'm going to draw out this matrix that I'm going to have my answer at. It's going to be 2 by 3. I'm going to use the rows of my first matrix and the columns of my second matrix. So to get the very first number, I do the first row times the first column, and I add that up. So it's negative 1 times 0 and 3 times 1. Negative 1 times 0 is 0. 3 times 1 is 3. 0 plus 3 is 3. Then I'm going to do the first row times the second column. Negative 1 times negative 2 is 2. 3 times negative 3 is negative 9. 2 plus negative 9 is negative 7. First row, third column. Negative 1 times 6 is negative 6. 3 times 2 is positive 6. Negative 6 and positive 6 makes 0. Now I'm going to do second row, first column. 1 times 0 is 0. 4 times 1 is 4. 0 plus 4 is 4. 1 times negative 2 is negative 2. 4 times negative 3 is negative 12. Negative 2 and negative 12 make negative 14. 1 times 6 is 6. 4 times 2 is 8. 6 plus 8 is positive 14. So this is the answer for 59. And then for 60, I've got a 2 by 3 and a 3 by 2. So my answer, these two match up. My answer is going to be a 2 by 2. And I'm going to get first rows, first column, second rows. I'm going to use the columns. Okay, first is the rows, second is the column. So 1 times 3, 3 times negative 1, and negative 1 times 0. 3 and negative 3 and 0 make 0. Now do first row, second column. 1 times 0 is 0. 3 times 1 is 3. Negative 1 times 3 is negative 3. Those add up to 0. Now do second row times first column. 2 times 3 is 6. 0 times negative 1 is 0. 3 times 0 is 0. So that gives me a total of 6. 2 times 0 is 0. 0 times 1 is 0. 3 times 3 is 9. So 0 plus 0 plus 9 adds up to 9. So my answer for number 60 is this 2 by 2 matrix.